And we are back with another episode of the Hockey Princess podcast. I am your host, the Hockey Princess. We have Crusty Old Guy once again. Folks, just as a reminder, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, however you watch or listen to his ramble on a weekly basis. It is the break right now, but if you are going to a game this season when the NHL or whatever league you do follow picks back up, if they are on break, or if you are an AHL fan and they're still playing, folks, please wait for the whistle. Do not get up all the pucks in play. The food will be there. The bathroom will be there. The beer will still be there and wildly overpriced.
And tell people you go with to wait for whistle and
Yes,
try to
please.
help this educational process.
Yeah. Tell a friend. Even if you don't go to hockey, tell a friend who is going to hockey. That
Yeah,
you
if
need
you
to wait for-
overhear people talking about hockey at the bar, whatever else, say, "Excuse me, do you wait for whistle?" You know, it would be helpful.
It would be very helpful. And if you are going to a game and you're in section 330, one, say hi, because we basically live there. And two, really wait for the whistle, because otherwise you might get chirped at by Krusty or I.
Not by me.
You
something
say
about
that, and then you do it.
something about an old man just yelling at people, and we're gonna hopefully get a QR code for next year because if it's not addressed, it'll be a problem.
There you go.
Okay, we've started the show off whining and bitching. Oh yeah, now that's gonna get viewers. Everybody's gonna be like, "Oh my God, I want to watch this. I wonder what else they'll complain about."
Hey, I mean, podcasts are essentially, it's part informative, but it's also truly an outlet just for people to complain.
Is it? Is that what they are?
I think so.
I don't know what they are.
We don't know a lot of things. It's fine.
Correct.
Starting off, we talked a little bit about it this week. We're going to drop the episode early this week, or we talked about it last week. We're going to drop the episode early this week just because we're getting into the medal rounds, and I don't like taping this prior to medal games and then it coming after medal games. So this will come out a little bit earlier, just because the most important hockey will be played on Thursday. And so I would like this out prior to that. But we got Olympic hockey. There's been some ups, some downs for both the men's and women's. I would just like to point out that the Team USA women's team has now outscored their opponent 31-1. Sorry, Matthew, but it sounds like they're the real bride in this scenario. You might also be a bridesmaid, buddy. They've been on an absolute tear from top to down. That roster is absolutely incredible. Shout out to Aaron Frankel, who I truly believe is built like a brick wall. Same with Gwyneth Phillips. They've been absolute studs in net. Obviously you have Kendall Coyne Schofield, you've got Hillary Knight, you've got younger folks like your Caroline Harvey, your Layla Edwards, who have been playing so well. I could list the entire roster and everybody's been playing very, very well. You've got USA versus Canada for the gold medal game, and then you have Sweden versus Switzerland, which I would also like to say shout out to Switzerland. They played a very, very good 60 minutes against Canada yesterday, but they will be facing off Sweden for that bronze medal game on Thursday as well. So it'll be very exciting. Once again, gold medal game for women's. You've got Hillary Knight versus Marie-Philip Poulin, who is back in the lineup. Thank goodness her injury wasn't that bad that she sustained at the beginning of the tournament against Czechia. But it's been an absolute incredible bunch of games to watch, not just Team USA, but just women's hockey in general, which brings me to my point. Krusty has his corner. I do not have a said corner per se, but Krusty has advised me to go with the Princess Prison. So for the Princess Prison, I would like to throw media in general, because it's not just, I think NBC has been the loudest with this, but it's media in general.
You're part of the
We
media.
do not
Hockey
need
Princess.
to tie men's hockey to women's hockey at all. Really, we don't need to. This is not, 10 years ago where they did not have a professional league and, you're in the position where you don't know who some of these people are. We don't need to have the constant tie. I don't need to hear about Kendall's husband and his Super Bowl every time that I see him on screen. I don't need to see or hear NHL players mic'd up during gameplay for a women's game. I think if you are going to mic up players during the Team USA women's game, maybe mic up the brothers whose mom is a part of the team, because Jack and Quinn were also, have been at games supporting their mom, Ellen. Maybe mic them up if you're very desperate to, slide in some NHL tie to the game. We do not need to be saying that, Abby Murphy's real name is Abby Kachuk. Put some respect on her name, whether you like to cheer for her, whether you don't. She's had an incredible year. She's had an incredible past couple of years at the collegiate level. She's been playing great in the Olympics. Her name is Abby Murphy. It does not need to be tied to another NHL player just because of her style of game. And honestly, her style of game is a lot better to watch than those two brothers, in my opinion. So we don't enough with the constant tie of going back to men's hockey during these games.
Harumph!
Harumph.
Harumph! I didn't get a harumph out of that guy. It's all valid points. Everybody tries to do things and, it's the same way media always is. Everybody's had to watch Taylor Swift at football games constantly. I got to constantly watch those two football players at everything. Whatever their name is, brothers.
The Kelsey brothers.
The Kelsey brothers. They're everywhere, and I have to see them. I don't know why, but I have to.
Are you talking for the women's game specifically?
I'm talking in general. I have to see them everywhere. I've also had to see them at the Olympics.
Well, you do know the Olympic tie.
I know the Olympic tie, but there's a million Olympic ties.
Okay.
I've heard the constant Olympic ties for Brock Nelson. Okay, I guess I try not to get too upset about it because it all seems simplistic when I'm listening, but I need to remind myself, just like Four Nations, and this might be helpful for you. I understand your other angst about, the women's hockey right now, on the grounds that it's been well over 300 minutes that anybody scored on them, stands on its own, and I will back you 100%. They don't need help from anybody else. It should be a product that stands on its own. This will probably be the most incredible Olympic for any hockey team since the Red Armies. It's just that simple. You're talking complete and utter domination. So I get that point, but with the Four Nations, with the Olympics, there's that tying of non-hockey people watching the sport. And it's an easy tie-in to fluff things up and sensationalize to attempt to draw them in. That's why I have to see all of this. That's why I have to hear the same stories over and over and over again. But hey, I get where you're coming from completely.
Aren't you also able to draw? We talked about this a little before. To me, it just seems lazy to just constantly make the, comparisons. If you are going at it from an angle of we have to draw a new audience, we're riding on the coattails of everything that the PWHL has done for women's hockey so far. We have to find a way to draw in more people to watch this game at the Olympic level. There's got to be a way to do it, though, without me having to watch the Kachuk brothers during actual game time. not just during in between the first and second period, while the game is actually being played. I have to watch these guys who actually didn't even make any comment about the team. Brady pretended to not hear the question and then talked about, basically reliving college glory days, being at the Olympic Village with his buddies. There has got to be another way, and if people say that they aren't, I don't, or that there isn't, I'm calling shenanigans.
Okay, well, you've got one heck of a prison there, and again, I just I tune it out for the most part. I knew once I saw the interview
Just pop that mute button right on.
that there was going to be a reaction from you. Um,
Me? I never have
yes.
reactions to
Yes, I
any.
knew there was going to be a reaction from you, and just for the fact that I think it boils down to the game can stand on its own now.
It can,
It's
and
a
I just
very good product. It's been very good games. The Team USA, it looked like, even with Sweden, there's kind of a feeling out period, and then the dam just bursts, and all of a sudden it's like it's all over.
right.
It's been pretty wild to watch. That's a lot of talented hockey players out there. So, I'm sorry you're gonna have to watch it. You're going to have to watch more of it, and trust me when I tell you, I have stated before, the best rivalry has been the women's USA-Canada game,
Yeah.
which I don't believe will be all that crazy come Thursday, just because I believe the US is just head and shoulders so much better. But be prepared, you're still going to deal with that.
Right,
And
and
you're going to deal with it even more if the game gets out of hand. Because if the US is already up 4-0 starting the third period, trust me, you're going to hear all about it. They might be trotting out people left and right. It's just kind of the way it works.
yeah, and I'm saying that it's stupid
Harumph!
because I just even if you have to bring out NHL players during this, which I already don't like to begin with, I would rather watch or listen to players who have an actual tie to this team. And maybe it's just my bias that I'd rather listen to Quinn and Jack Hughes talk versus Matthew and Brady Tkachuk. But they actually have a tie to a key person on said team. Ellen Hughes has been, instrumental for women's USA hockey for a while. This is not just new. Just seems like media's really obsessed with throwing out Matthew and Brady for any reason, and I'm just over it.
I couldn't agree more. Because, yes, I would like to hear more from her. I don't know if that's also something that she might be like, I'm watching the game. I
Right.
have no desire to be doing this. And from me, I mean, I would like to get a little Cammy Granado interview in between
Yes.
periods saying, have you ever seen anything like this team? I mean, you were the face of USA women's hockey for a while and did so much for the sport, and there's nothing. Again, we don't know if, hey, it was reached out and she's like, this is their time, whatever. But those are the things that I'm with you. Yes, I would like.
I would even, again, if you have to trot out a man for this,
You don't.
you don't. But even, and because this is the Olympics, Mark Johnson, part of the 1980 Miracle on Ice, coaches Layla, has coached Hillary, has essentially built a women's hockey dynasty up at University of Wisconsin. If you have to bring out a man for the Olympics, why not bring out, who also played in the Olympics and has coached a lot of a lot of the notable players for this women's team.
I agree. You're just going to have to deal with it, but know that, there are other avenues, and, during the game, you're just going to have to deal with it. But you've got podcasts like the Hockey Princess Show that'll educate you a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that's, we're all about education.
So that's my women's hockey in a nutshell. It's been great. Team USA is amazing. Um,
Yeah.
men's, I'm gonna
Well,
be honest,
no,
I don't
lie to us. Lie to us.
I'm gonna be honest, I haven't been watching much. No, I've been watching not
Boo.
USA versus or USA or Canada games just because those have been kind of pretty big blowouts so far. Um, but yeah, I think I will like to say some notable players, and they are getting some credit, but it's Samuel Hlava, which is the starting goaltender for Slovakia, and then Damian DeClara, the Italian uh, goaltender. Both NHL prospects. You've got Hlava with the Minnesota Wild, and then Damian DeClara with the Anaheim Ducks have both been having, very good Olympic runs. With the Italian, the team might not be so great in front of DeClara, but I think DeClara has had a good Olympic tourney so far. Um, I'm very excited that Finland beat Sweden, as I'm always excited when Finland wins. Um, but things should get interesting closer to the medal round. I, for one, it's a wacky one. I know, Christy, you are Mr. Team USA all the time. But as much
Yes.
as yeah,
USA. USA. You,
but we've got snubs from both sides, and I'm not particularly, ex- happy with Team Canada's constant refusal to snub Connor Bedard in any which way. But gosh, it would be really, really nice to watch Team Canada shut up the Kachuk brothers again. It would be pretty beautiful.
I'm hoping not. Again, at times the overdoneness of this being like a reality TV show, um, rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah,
But I understand that's the world we live in for the most part. It doesn't rub me enough that I don't want to see USA finally break on through. I mean, I would love to see it. It's just the way the Kachuk brothers are. Again, we talk a lot on our show of bringing your team into the fight. And I will say this, that Brady Kachuk, you might disagree with some of the way he handles things, but he brings his team into the fight. He brings his team into the fight. If they're going through the motions, he is going to go out there and do something stupid to wake everybody up and go like, hey, I just really pissed off 22 people. They're going to be coming for you. You might want to think about picking up your game. We both like that kind of stuff. We both think
yeah,
it's an important part of a hockey team. The other noise I could care less about, but that's what they do, and it is important. Um, so and it is so I'd love to see the US break on through. I don't know. That Canada team just looks so gosh darn good. We could, if we're gonna talk Olympics,
yeah,
we can continue on the same theme of when Krusty was in Florida, that we're sure of only one thing. Krusty's not very intelligent. Um, we are just backing it up and backing it up with more stuff. At some point in time through this podcast, you're gonna say, no, Krusty's okay. But I went on about how you're not going to be playing Jordan Biddington, and guess who has the net for Team Canada?
yeah,
Jordan Biddington. Um, so that was mistake number one for Krusty. Mistake number two, any form of fighting and somebody's suspended, and that didn't happen either. That is not a complete rule, so that was my bad. The Frenchman who
yeah,
got suspended for his antics on the way off the ice, not for the fight in general, which really wasn't a fight. A glove or two was dropped and there was yanking on each other. So I guess they have some leeway to say, as long as they're not throwing fists, we don't have to. Again, they are trying to mold this more and more like the NHL game. That's what they're selling.
Yeah.
Tom Wilson did a really good job of not pounding that man, and I'll give it to that guy who's kind of a nut job. He caught Wilson off guard, yanking him to the ice. I don't think Wilson was expecting that.
No.
But again, Wilson did a really good job of just going, I'm done here. This is enough. Had Wilson gone off and started to go after him and stuff like that, I believe those kind of antics would have led to a suspension. Um,
Speaking of Wilson, because I know there were a lot of people immediately on Friday that were jumping to, you know, to look at Tom Wilson doing dirty things once again. Did you think the Kevin Fiala okay,
yeah. No,
it's
it's a
incredibly
hockey play.
unfortunate that it happened to Fiala,
Yes.
especially because, that's probably it for Fiala in terms of the rest of the year, on the off chance LA makes a deep run, maybe, but, I mean, that's it for Fiala. So,
Yeah.
it's unfortunate, but it didn't seem like we've seen Tom Wilson do Tom Wilson things many times throughout his career. That didn't seem like a Tom Wilson, in quotation marks, thing.
No, I basically everybody, both sides, everybody stated that's a hockey play. Do you consider it a tiny bit of a slew foot? Well, it's possible, but remember, these are big men on thin little ice
Playing a
skates.
fast
The,
game.
you don't stay planted.
Yeah,
Your feet move a little bit. It was a very unfortunate incident. I'm sure Tom was very upset about it also. It's a hockey play. These things happen, and especially when their legs get tangled up,
yeah,
you're never for sure. So no, I did not. That's just, Tom's got a big time reputation, and that's people going, see, see, see. But it's a hockey play.
okay. Yeah, that's what I thought, but I just wanted to
Yeah.
see if you had any other thoughts.
Um, and then I've watched some, not a ton. I've watched a good amount of the USA, and they look kind of like the women's. Also, were, it was the first period, and by the beginning of the second, they were taking people's will, and it was game over. Same thing with Team Canada. Um, the US will have a tough matchup tomorrow, though. Their odds are good they're going to play Sweden. So,
Yeah, but Sweden hasn't been playing the greatest.
right, but people have been pointing out, you can't judge the way all of this is going to go by preliminary rounds, and I
Right.
and I agree with that. I do know their second pairing is now their top pairing, and I would assume Darlene and Goose to play about half that game.
Yeah.
But they are definitely getting more ice time than Hedman and Eric Carlson. They can shut down anybody.
I was gonna say,
I mean,
as Goose should be playing half that game. Goose is incredible.
so, offensively, they look disjointed at times. There's rumors that there's a problem with the coach. There's rumors that there's a problem with the coach with Finland too. So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Well, the
Um,
Finland one, he's new because it's the Italian head coach that's actually from Finland that was Finland's head coach for like the longest time. I don't believe quite spanning back to the Route 2 days, but definitely, I mean, was it his name Peltonen, or is that the new one? But the Italian head coach used to be Finland's for the longest time. Finland has a newer head coach for the Olympics.
yeah, and I've
Maybe they
heard
should
that
just have
there's
Rucci be the head coach.
well, you never know. Um, they'd like everything to be more NHL centered. Again, we'll see.
Yeah,
Again, they've got a huge gap without Barkov there. And Czechia did win 3-2, so
yeah.
Denmark did make it close. So we're almost all set. We got Sweden, Latvia, and again, I would assume the Swedes will be. That shouldn't be too much of a problem.
No, but it should be interesting because Latvia's a weird one because it's like you technically do have 2 NHL goaltenders in net for Latvia with, Elvis and Artie, not our Artie, other Artie. Um, but then you also have, and I know this is way too early for Krusty to pay attention, but if you're like me and you care about the draft, uh, folks, watch number 3 for Latvia, 6'3", 18-year-old defenseman currently running Latvia's first power play unit.
Yeah, Krusty can only departmentalize. Is that the correct word?
Compartmentalize.
Thank you. Thank you. English is a second language for me. Gibberish is my first language.
There you go.
Um, so I don't watch it. Yeah, that'll be later on when I'm
Yeah.
not focusing on everything else. Trying to think if I had any other good Olympic stuff. Again, not really. That Canada team just looks unstoppable. And as much as Hockey Princess doesn't want to hear about it, the Mac attack looks awfully good. He does look awfully
I
good.
need to make it abundantly clear. I do not hate Macklin
I
Celebrini. I
know
would
you
be a
don't.
crazy person if I did hate Macklin Celebrini. What I do hate is and I know we are going to be getting this basically for the rest of their careers. The constant praising one means we have to crap on the other, which I don't agree with. And so it's the constant, Macklin's so great, Connor's a bust. Connor's miserable. Look at Connor not being at the Olympics. I'm over that.
Yes, and unfortunately, that's just kind of, again, almost seems to be the world we live in, but let's not derail. Yeah, just because you think somebody is really skyrocketing doesn't mean the other one is worthless. Trust me, both going to be representing Canada in 4 years.
Yeah.
That I can guarantee you. Okay. And the only other thing that I heard is basically, these Olympics were huge for the NHL players. They gave up some things in the collective bargaining agreement to make sure that the NHL worked out a way to get them over there.
Yeah.
So you have a group that, hasn't played in an Olympic that are unbelievable hockey players, and everybody wanted to go to this. So, kudos to them for wanting to represent their country. And it's just, the Olympics it's a weird machine with just a quick preliminary, which is basically top 4 teams and then not a lot of the others. And the goal differential, I mean, we've got Finland, you know, beating up on people just so they can get the first round bye, which is important. We can tell your listeners that
Go
a
boys.
first round bye means you don't have to play back-to-back games.
Let's
You
go,
wait for
boys.
somebody. So it becomes very important. But for me, I do not like watching teams pile it on. And again, they had to pile it on. The other wacky game was the Slovak game, where the Slovaks lose, but the goal differential is good enough to where they can take their.
Yep.
There's just some wacky stuff that comes out of it. So again, after today, we will have everything squared away for the medal round, the start of it. So that'll be very good hockey. And, it is Canada, then USA. But as we've often said, goaltenders can always get you one. If you can make it through the first 2 periods, shutting teams down, these top teams, their sticks get a little, they grab the sticks a little tighter, and in hockey's just a weird game, man.
Yeah.
One little bounce, and next thing you know, and God, who was the one who gave up the
The
goal
goal at
from
the red
like
line,
yeah,
Swayman.
yes.
Because the real question is Otter ever going to get a game?
I
No.
guess not. I guess not. I don't quite get that either, but that was Hellebuck's net anyways, but it'll be an interesting one.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting.
As I said, I'm sorry to be wrong to everybody. This is bidding, and Cooper came out and said it, and it was always his net. These are people that know a lot more than Krusty, but I can guarantee you, if he has a sloppy game and they get bounced, oh my God, it will be relentless. Relentless?
Yep.
The abuse. So, okay, have I talked too much about it?
No, you're good.
Oh,
But do you have any
thanks.
other thoughts on the Olympics before we jump to our stuff?
The whole Olympics in general, or just
W-
hockey?
If you have any thoughts.
It's been fun. I did watch most of the huge USA upset for the first time of the USA women over the Canadian women in the curling. That's a funky game, man. It's
Yeah.
there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
And it's not like fast paced, but it's neat to watch. I I just that would be really weird because in the curling they let go of that rock and everybody that camera zoomed right on him. I'm like,
Yep.
Jesus. Can you give a different shot for these girls? I can imagine if they went to go like this or something. My goodness, but
Yeah.
that's all. Let's move on.
Okay. Jumping to prospect report, we've got starting off with Jack Pridham with the Kitchener Rangers. We have 1 goal and 3 assists. Merrick Vanaker with the Brantford Bulldogs. We have 4 goals and 1 assist. 1 assist for AJ Spellacy with the Windsor Spitfires. Mason West totaling up to 14 points in 21 games with the USHL. 1 goal and 1 assist for Nathan Bem with the Kamloops Blazers. 1 goal for John Mustard with Providence College. 2 assists for Julius Sumpf, also with Providence College. 1 assist for Sasha with Boston University. Roman Kansaroff totaling up to 55 points in 51 games in the KHL. And then finally, Anton Frendel has not, because they play tonight at Drew Garden. This is the one that everybody likes to talk about. And we talked about a little bit last week, but I want to spin a thought to you, Krusty. So everybody's talking about Anton Frendel coming over. We're excited. Everyone's excited. Why not? New kid, and we're all always excited for when the kiddos get to come up and play in the show. Frendel's final game, if the Drew Garden do not make it to postseason, which, to be honest, I'm really unsure. I have a hard time translating their website to begin with, is March 13th. Now, there are plenty of games between March 13th and the end of the season for the Blackhawks, even if they give him like a week to come over with time. And we're slightly concerned, do they burn his first year? Do they not? If he comes over, and at minimum, they give him a week. What do you think about if they only play him at home? At home, with a bye week at minimum would be 6 games. You would get some time to play at the NHL level. You would get plenty of time to adjust. New city, new country, new system, new everything. But you're getting you're not, exhausting even more coming here from Sweden and then being on the road because the boys go to the West Coast at the tail end of the year in April. So, what do you think about just giving him a handful, but just here?
I don't At the end of the day, I don't have a problem with any of it. The only thing I would have a problem with is if you decide to bring him over and then you're not going to play him,
Right.
then just leave him over there. However else you want to handle it, there's pros and cons to burning that first year. We could spend an hour on it.
Oh, yeah.
Again, we are a bottom 5 team that is constantly worried about the salary cap because we have PTSD from the dynasty years. That's all it is. I don't think it matters. You bring up a very good point. at the end of the day, I would still like him to travel
Right.
and maybe just not play. But
But do you
yeah,
wanna
I would
take him
like him
from
to go, here,
Sweden
here's the
to
force.
Chicago to Seattle? I mean, it would be great because, guys, we're going to the Seattle game, but do you want him going all that way on top of it? Or if there's like a less I'm pulling up the schedule.
I wouldn't have a problem with it. Again, I wouldn't have a problem with it if you don't even play him. Just flying him out there, go, hey, this is the Four Seasons. This is where you get to stay on the road all the time. Or maybe the Ritz. Um, we'd like to show you how you're treated here in the NHL.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that, baby. That is a phenomenal world to live in. So I get what you're saying, especially with that condensed schedule. Do you really want him flying over, practicing for a week and playing 4 games a week, which he's
No.
never played? I don't know. He's also a young kid. What they play hockey. So I wouldn't have a problem with them sitting him a couple games. Whatever it is, the only thing is you have a complete plan. Don't deviate for it. Sit down and talk to him and go, here's the plan for all of this. This is what we're going to do. What
Yeah.
do you think?
I think if you run into similar to what Anaheim did with Carlson, and I know everybody was kind of freaking out when they started, not playing him every game, but it seems to be beneficial now that he wasn't just thrown into the deep end. But no, I totally agree. You have to stick to the plan. I think you can readjust the plan during the off season. I don't think you need to like stick to the plan from day one, but you can't just have a knee jerk reaction if after a couple of games it's less than what you expected. But also, I think if you have high expectations with Frendell coming in for the last month, that's silly to begin with.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, you bring up a huge point, and it's probably the best way to do it is you don't play him every game.
No.
Maybe you sit him on the road and just fly him around and leave it at that. But that schedule for the last month and a half is brutal. And to throw him into the whole thing, even when he comes over, granted, it's what, maybe 2, 3 weeks. I think I'm with you. That might be overkill.
Because it looks like they've got two kind of like road segments
Okay.
where if you get the bye week after the 13th, which I would highly encourage that they do for this kid at minimum. You come over, it's like a handful, it's like 2 or 3 games at home, and then you go out east, which is still traveling, but significantly less, going to like Philly and Jersey. You're home for a little bit, and then you go out west. Yes,
Well,
Christy, you're gonna be able to see him probably one way or the other.
that's the point that needs to be brought up is he does need to understand that Krusty will be in Philly and New York, so they should probably play him then. And we will be in Seattle together, so they should probably play him there.
Yeah.
Um, from a selfish standpoint, I would like him to play in those 3 away games, but I do not have. I think it makes complete sense that he does not go through that full schedule. It's rough sauce. It's all, you've
Yeah.
got 4 games in a week, 4 games in a week, then 3, and then the last 2 of the
You
season.
can't do that to him.
Yeah.
Whether he wants to or not, I think is a really nothing that you should take into consideration. Um, you
Yeah. I
don't
think
run the kid too rampant by the end of the
Yeah,
year.
I think it's if see, it would work out perfectly. I think for that West Coast swing, you just give them 1 game in the middle, which would
Seattle.
just happen to be Seattle, and do it that. I think you make a good point. So
I love when I make those. Christy, got anything else for prospect wise?
no,
Okay.
and again, I will start to do my homework more
No, we won't.
Once the season's over. I get spun up with these prospects, and then there's a ton of other ones, and yeah, it's just
Yeah. That's what he keeps me around for, guys. Jumping to Rockford, split weekend for the boys. Well, first they had the All-Stars during the week, which was great. You got to see Korchinski, you got to see Senny, you got to see Lardis, you got to see Lardis do like stupid fun goals to watch during the All-Star, which was just delightful. We got a split weekend, both against Milwaukee. You had the excellent retro jerseys that, guys, the designs that Rockford gets for these jerseys, just year in and year out. I love the like specialty ones that they do, but I also love their partnership with the community because for those who don't know, they basically bring on a couple of designers to do like merch for different causes throughout the years or throughout the year. They'll do hats, they'll do jerseys, whatever. I think it's fantastic. I really, really love the one that they had for this past weekend. I know Krusty's not the biggest fan of it. I loved it.
is that like Mighty Mouse who's on the front,
It's the
or
old school pig or whatever.
no?
It's from something many moons ago.
Okay, that could be, but that wasn't a pig.
It was something.
That's. I think that was a Rockford Mighty Mouse. See, this is when you could have pulled up the picture.
Yep.
Yeah, I know you've got a lot of things to do in your world, but when you
Yep.
get that intern,
Oh boy.
oh boy, I could just sit there and text him and say, "Do this, do that."
Yep. So split weekend, very feisty weekend, but that's just what happens when you play Milwaukee and when the boys do not have that great of a year. Everything now just becomes a lot feistier. You had a not great interaction between Drew and LaHaru, which for those who remember from a couple of years ago, yes, that is the kid that cross-checked Colton Dock in the back of the head when he wasn't looking. But Drew had a great night the first game, and they won 6-2. You had Tage Harding's first goal, couple of points for Senny, couple of points for Lardis, and then unfortunately you lost 1-4 the following night. You also have Stanislav Berezhnoi, the backup goaltender for Drew Comesso, has been suspended for 20 games for doing drugs, for you know, not abiding by or for basically taking performance enhancing drugs. He has already served one of his games, but he has 19 more to go.
Who's this?
Berezhnoi.
The goaltender?
Yep.
Oops.
So, I mean, it was, Drew was still taking that net, but one of them's already happened. So I'm not sure if it's Weeks getting the call up or Flores, but it'll be somebody from Indy that will be stealing. And this, once again, can go to Krusty's point. Gosh, it'd be really great if you had that French goaltender. But it's fine. We've had a couple of times through concussion protocol, through stomach bug, through whatever, that Indy goaltenders have been called up. We love our friends down at Indy Fuel, and the Indy Fuel goaltenders, whoever has been called up in the past, have, been able to hold their own, I think, for the most part. But he will be out basically till the end of the year.
Woof.
Yeah. Don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah. Well, it's there's an excuse for everything, and it's hard to manipulate with all the other stuff that you have that you can take over the counter.
Yeah, not everybody's like Florida that can just pick up another great defenseman when one of your guys takes too much of whatever.
Correct. Again, everybody wants an advantage. I get it.
Yeah. But that's all that I have on Rockford. They still got, handful of more games to go. Hasn't been looking great, but, this could either get a lot better or a lot worse. It all depends on what the big club does at the trade deadline, which brings me to our next topic of the big club. Krusty, we've the trade deadline coming up. We still have a few weeks, but it's...
When's the trade deadline? There
It
you go.
is
Asking questions that I don't know the answer to.
Friday the 6th, I believe.
And just to also state, Rackford is right now out of a playoff spot. Even that silly play-in 3-gamer, they're still 4 points behind Milwaukee.
Yep.
So there's the possibility they don't even see playoffs. But when is the trade deadline?
Friday, March 6th. That is the day of the Vancouver game. So we do not have another home game until after trade deadline. And there's been rumors, there's been rumblings, different guys get flipped. There's obviously the main ones that Dickinson could go, Mickey Mouse could go. People have been throwing out Foligno going. I don't know if that's actually the case. I would love, and I do like to watch him play. This is not a, gosh, I hope he's off of our roster. I would like Connor Murphy to have the opportunity to play playoff hockey. Connor Murphy has not had the opportunity to play playoff hockey. He has gone from the Arizona Coyotes to the Chicago Blackhawks. I've loved everything that he has done for this team on the ice and being great leadership off the ice. I want to watch him I want him to have the opportunity to play playoff hockey.
Yeah, and I believe if he wants to, he will have that opportunity. We can segue a tiny bit back to the Frenchman. And, being a GM in the National
Mm,
Hockey League comes with a lot of frigging moving parts.
yeah,
And one of those is your reputation as far as taking care of your players. Now, our GM, that took a massive hit with the way he handled some players from the dynasty years.
you can say Taves and Kane.
Just players. Um, it doesn't have to be just them. Um, but the way he handled the Frenchman and said, listen, we know you don't want to be down here. You want to be someplace else. We'll take care of you. I believe they will do the same thing for Connor Murphy, which
Yeah.
also might be, where do you want to go?
Do you want to go?
We could care less if we get a second or a third rounder.
Right.
We just want to take care of you. That goes a long way with players in this game. All the agents talk. And to be able to get a, discussion going, they really take care of you will be very helpful for the Hawks. I am,
Yeah.
somebody traded for Connor Murphy. There's the talk that, he'd like to trade for Connor Murphy again. Greg put out a thing saying that Edmonton was not interested in a defenseman, and the Edmonton Insider that same day said they've gone away from a top 6 forward to where they want a depth defenseman. So again, most of us don't know, but a
Yeah.
right-handed depth defenseman is always in vogue. It's always needed to bolster your depth. He'll get a look. Edmonton would be perfect.
Yeah.
Just because you've got to figure Edmonton can make a good run. San Jose's been there, but San Jose's not, so I don't.
Yeah.
So, but I think they will be very accommodating to him and basically ask him where he wants to go. Tell his agent, make a good deal. We don't want a 5th rounder, but we don't have to have a 2nd rounder. You'll
Right.
hear talk about, let's get the first.
No.
We've got a ton of picks. As far as Foligno, I don't see Foligno going anywhere. I truly believe he will be re-signed for one more year.
Mm-hmm.
The perfect segue probably is Murphy leaves, the Dick leaves, Connor Bedard and some other youngster gets the other A, or they might give it to Tavo or Bert, but they start to infuse that, and I don't think they want to have a captain decision or a captainless team next year. The easiest thing to do is just resign Foligno.
Yeah.
You don't have to play him all the time. The kids like him. He's a great mouthpiece for your organization. It's probably too early to give Connor the C. So it would work out well, I think, timeline. And again, as we've discussed, and a lot of people discuss, it's what to do with Mickey Mouse. That's the unsure one. I believe he might even draw a first round pick. He is That's a piece that every team is looking for. You
Hey,
you can slot somebody in your top penalty kill unit.
I'm still riding on the Mickey Mouse to the Dead Wings. I still think that would be a perfect setup. He's another one where I'd really like to just see him play decent playoff hockey, because you've been here for a little bit. You were in Vancouver, which, yes, they had the one fluke year, but they still haven't been the greatest. I just want to watch these guys that had maybe, career renaissances, as media likes to call it, play hockey that matters, plain and simple.
Yeah, and again, I've said this many times about Mikhailov is I'd like to sign him for 3 more years.
I know.
I think he just becomes a solid piece that I just, if you lose the deck, you lose him. That's your top penalty killers. That's 2/3 of your third line, which has always been your strongest line. So, but, again, they have a plan. So
Do
we'll
they?
see. Yes, they do.
Other Blackhawk news. We have been chosen for something. So says the mastermind that is Scott Powers. The Blackhawks will have some sort of something game. I don't think it's the Winter Classic. Gosh, I hope it's not the Winter Classic, guys. We played in enough Winter Classics. Are they doing another global series? Are they doing a stadium series? We don't know. There has just been in the announcement that the Chicago Blackhawks will have one less home game next season.
Yeah,
Again.
they're a great draw. They just are, and that's just the way it is. An outdoor game with Connor Bedard against Malcolm Celebrini just has beauty written all over it at the end of the day. So I get it.
I want a global series.
I would like a global series also just because, that big year we started in Finland, the magical year of 2010. But then I look at the Blackhawks team and they've always been really good about what's the draw.
Yeah.
I mean, that 2010 team, you had Tomo Ruutu going back to Finland, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. Tomo got traded in 2010, right?
No,
29?
2009.
Are you
No,
sure?
it was not 2010.
Okay. Wow, I'm blanking then? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. Because 2009, the Chicago Blackhawks lost to the Detroit Red Wings during the Western Conference Finals, and the Carolina Hurricanes lost to the Pittsburgh Penguins during the Eastern Conference Finals. So I had the Chicago Blackhawks and Ruutu both knocked out. I wore black for a week in middle school after that.
Huh. I I need to pull that up somehow. I don't know why I think I'm
Yeah,
right.
you're a year behind.
I'm always a year behind. I'm always everything behind. I guess so, huh? Let's see. Yeah, you're right. He went in way before then. Never mind.
Course I'm
I
right.
don't know what I'm talking about.
You think I misspeak about Tomo Ruutu, who is somewhere on that list?
But they had other play. I just getting back to my point, which again, Krusty's always wrong. They like to have players from that area to represent and do a lot of the PR stuff.
Sweden.
Yes, you would have Anton
You would have
Frindell.
Frendell. You would have Bloom, you would have, let me think of others. I don't know.
Yeah. So
You
I
don't
guess
even have to be the main team. I mean, you could easily be paired with a team where it's basically their homecoming and we're just kind of there because we're an original six draw.
well, that also brings us to the whole thing of there will be a New Jersey. And for the outdoor game or global game, I
So can we
guarantee
finally
they
get
are
a
going to
good
do
one?
everything they can to get that Blackhawk division seal to be able to use as their crest. That is going to be the push
You know what?
because that is going to look sweet.
I'm okay with that because
I
I
love that look. I
I I hate every other outdoor specialty. Our specialty jerseys are so boring. They've been
I've
boring. They will
I've enjoyed
continue to be
them.
boring. And it's not even like an original six, like, oh, they're just, original six teams, they stick to their logos, but they don't because you've seen the Rangers kind of go away from their traditional logo for other games. Be
I
creative.
I've liked
Be
some of the
creative.
I like some of the Blackhawk ones. I'm not going to lie, but
It's the
this
same.
this
It's all
would
the
be
same.
this would be creative. And again, when
Yes.
I first saw that when they did the first before the game starts
Yeah,
video,
the Stuff to the Rush song.
right, that emblem, that was my first thought. Oh my god, would that look beautiful on a jersey. I know there'll be problems of if it's still in use in the army, there's no way they can use it, but things are changing everywhere, so you never know.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a great look. So sorry to get derailed on that, but yeah, that
No.
that one kind of gets me going.
No, I would be fine with it because it would be something different. I think
Yes, it
it's just
would.
been kind of similar-ish variations of the same thing for a while. I was hoping I really didn't have high expectations, but, I was hoping that we would get something a little creative with the Centennial jerseys. We did not. So, I'm just if we do get new jerseys, if it is a whatever type of game that we're doing, gosh, I hope they just take some creativity with it.
Yeah, and with them still not being as good, I could really see the beginning of the year global thing going
Yeah.
also. So again, the Blackhawks work really well with the NHL about these things. They're an unbelievable partner, and Blackhawks sell. That's for sure. There's a huge fan base, and there's pretty huge hate base too,
Yep.
and that sells.
Yeah. Chris, you got any other
I
thoughts
don't
on
think
it?
we talk. I had mentioned about trying to give grades and stuff. I don't even know if we'll do that before the season starts back up. I don't think that'll be necessary. You seem to inksnay it anyways, and we talk about it enough. We all know what's going on. So I don't have anything else. I'm gonna really enjoy the medal rounds in
Yeah.
the the women's game Thursday.
It's gonna be so good. It's
Yep,
gonna be
and
so
my
good.
thing's gonna die in a second
All right.
or like a minute.
Folks, just as a reminder, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, however you watch or listen to us ramble on a weekly basis. If you are going to a game this season, please wait for the whistle. Do not get up while the puck's in play. Come say hi or head over to Su Taqueria El Rey del Taco over on Ogden. Chris, you had one final thing?
Yeah, just thank you to doing this during the day so I could sit outside and have a cigar.
Yeah, absolutely. That is all, and we will talk to you guys next week.